Well, tonight on Ebru TV Primetime News, the much-awaited COVID-19 vaccine is now over because the vaccines are actually on their way and they will be in the country in the next 3 hours. The big question is, what next? Once we have the vaccine, what's going to happen in the country? Who are the people who will be given the priority as far as receiving the 2 jabs of the COVID-19 vaccine? And are there measures put in place to ensure that then there is no other scandal as far as COVID-19 vaccine is concerned? Well, we'll be having that and much more in our bulletin tonight, plus an explainer of what will happen once the vaccine is in the country, how many counties will actually receive, how many depots are there to ensure that then there's equal distribution of the COVID-19 vaccine across the country. We'll have an explainer on the same. Also, we'll have our reporter Jeff Kayamba joining us live from JKIA to just give us an update on what's happening at the moment in preparation to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. And also tonight, away from matters vaccine, well, it is a no as far as Big Bear is concerned from the Elgeyo Marakwet County. And of course, the big question is, what impact does this have as far as then the BBI bill is concerned? We have that again in our bulletin tonight. And should you be changing how you pray? Well, we'll be telling you why in just a moment. But for now, here are some of the stories that made it to the top of the news. Take a look. All right, it is a fully jam-packed bulletin right here on Ebru TV Primetime News, so you want to stick around until the end of the bulletin. Remember, like we said, we have our reporter Jeff Kayamba on the ground at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport to just give us a view of what's happening at the moment as we prepare to receive the much-awaited COVID-19 vaccine. And of course, he'll be joining us in just a moment. But for now, welcome to the broadcast. My name is Winnie Lubembe, and our sign anchor tonight is Joyce Wairimo. And matters vaccine, well, of course, Kenya is the 3rd country, and this is to receive, in the African continent rather, this is to receive the COVID-19 vaccine, even as other countries, including Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire, have actually begun their rollout of the COVID-19 vaccine. Well, this is after, for the very first time of these doses were shipped from the Serum Institute of India, where, of course, they were manufactured to Africa, with 504,000 arriving in Cote d'Ivoire, and of course, over 600,000 vaccines arrived in Ghana. Well, in the country, that is in Kenya, 1.2 million doses of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccines are expected in the country tonight at 12 midnight. And of course, how will the vaccine be dispatched? Well, let's take a look at what will happen, because once cleared at the port, the vaccines will actually be transferred to the central vaccine stores in Kitengela, and of course, subsequently to the 9 regional depots across the country. And of course, the depots include, let's take a look at what will happen. So, of course, once in Kitengela, there, of course, will be needed to be dispatched to other parts of the country. And, of course, 9 depots have actually, been selected for the same. So, of course, one of them is the Nairobi store. And of course, the Nairobi store actually targets 13.7 million population, okay? So of course, from the 13.7 million population target, that is the people who are targeted to receive the vaccine, well, 138,000 doses will then be required to cater for this number. So again, several counties actually that need to receive the COVID-19 vaccine from the Nairobi store include Kajiado. We also have Kitui County. We have Makueni. We also have counties like Murang'a. We have Nairobi. We have Narok. We also have Kiambu and Machakos as well. They'll be receiving the vaccine from the Nairobi store. And remember, once again, we said the target is 13.7 million population. And of course, 138,000 doses will actually be distributed from the Nairobi store. Okay, let's take a look at then the second store that again is expected to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. The second store include, just a moment, let me get the second store, the one that is supposed to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. Of course, we actually have counties of Kisumu County, Kisumu County actually is expected to receive the second batch of the COVID-19, vaccine. And of course, the target is 7 million. So 7 million is the target number of population. And of course, the doses that they will be receiving is 54,000 doses. And some of the counties that are actually supposed to receive then the vaccine from the Kisumu store include Homa Bay. We also have Kisii County, we have Kisumu, we have Migori, we have Nyamira, and Siaya counties who are expected to receive the 54,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccine. Okay, so Kisumu, elsewhere, we also have the Nakuru store, which again, the target is 50.2 million people, or 5.2 million people who are expected to receive the doses. So 54,000 doses as well. Same as Kisumu, they will be receiving the number of doses. And of course, counties that will actually get their vaccine from Nakuru store include Bomet, we have Kericho, we have Nakuru, Nyandarua, and Samburu counties. So they'll receive their doses from the Nakuru store. And elsewhere, we also have Eldoret store that has been selected again to serve a number of counties. As far as then the vaccines are concerned, the total population is 6.6 million people who are targeted to receive the first batch of the COVID-19 vaccine. So they'll receive 51,000 doses. And among the counties that will get their vaccines from the Eldoret store include Baringo County, we have Elgeyo Marakwet, we have Nandi, we have Trans Nzoia, we have Uasin Gishu, Turkana, and West Pokot counties that will receive their doses from the Eldoret store. So, of course, several stores, remember, like we said, 9 in total across the country. We also have Kakamega store. The target again is 5.7 million. This is the total number of people who are expected to receive the first batch of the COVID-19 vaccine from the Kakamega store. So they'll receive 42,000 doses. And among the counties that will benefit or will receive their doses, that is COVID-19 vaccine from the Kakamega store include Bungoma, Busia, Kakamega, and Vihiga counties. So people in these counties will need to get their vaccine from the Kakamega store. And we also have Mombasa store, which again has been selected to serve a number of counties, and the target is 4.4 million people during the first batch of the first rollout actually of the COVID-19 vaccine. So 42,000 as well, 42,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccine is what is expected from them. And amongst, of course, the counties that are set to get their doses from Mombasa store include Kilifi, Kwale, Lamu, Mombasa, Taita Taveta, and Tana River counties are expected to get their vaccines from the Mombasa store. And the target is 4.4 million people. Elsewhere, we also have Garissa store, which again, the target population is 3 million people. And the number of doses that they will receive is 21,000. And of course, that is expected to serve Garissa, Wajir, and Mandera counties as well, as far as then receiving doses of COVID-19. So people in those areas will again receive their vaccines there. And we also have Meru store, which again, the target is 2.8 million population. And of course, the doses that they will receive during the first rollout is 21,000 doses. And we have Isiolo, Marsabit, Meru, and Tharaka Nithi counties that will receive their doses from the Meru store. So like we said, the total number is 9. And lastly, we have Nyeri store, that the target population there is 2.6 million. People who are set to receive the dose, and of course 18,000 doses is what they will receive. And of course Embu, Kirinyaga, Laikipia, and Nyeri, and this is the counties that will receive then their doses from the Nyeri store. So like we said, 9 stores rather across the country. This is spread across different countries and different counties and different regions as well will receive their doses of the first batch of COVID-19 vaccine. And this target is actually to then be rolled out across the country in all the 47 counties. So wherever you are you ready to receive the vaccine? I know there is a lot of, cases as far as then the receiving of the vaccine. A lot of people say they would not want to actually get the jab, and others actually saying, I am willing to receive the jab. But remember, there are those people who have been prioritized to receive the jab. But of course, amongst them, the people who should get the vaccine, and should be actually in the front line to receive the vaccine include the healthcare workers. We have teachers as well. We have people in the security forces as well, and a number of learners as well will be receiving or will be amongst the first people to receive the jab of COVID-19 vaccine. So wherever you are you willing to get the vaccine or not? Will there be payments as far as that is concerned? So we have this and much more in the bulletin later on. We'll be joining, or we're trying to get a hold of our reporter Jeff Kaemba, who is currently at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, to just give us an update on what's happening as far as then the preparation of the COVID-19, receiving the COVID-19 vaccine is concerned. So we'll be getting, or we'll be speaking to Jeff in just a moment. But for now, let's take a look at the numbers in the country, where the number of COVID-19 cases in the country has actually hit 106,470, and this is after 345 people tested positive to the disease out of a sample size of 5,550 tested in the last 24 hours. Now, a statement from the Health Ministry confirmed 4 new deaths, pushing the cumulative fatalities to 1,863. Take a look.
From the cases, 294 are Kenyans, while 51 are foreigners. 205 are male, while 140 are females, with age ranging from 2 months old infant to 93 years. The new cases are distributed across the country, including Nairobi with 198, Kiambu with 44, Nakuru 20, Mombasa 12, Kisumu 10, Kajiado 9, Machakos 8, Nyandarua 7, Nyeri 5, Laikipia 5, Murang'a 4, Busia, Garissa and Uasin Gishu 3, Embu, Kilifi, Meru, Narok and Siaya with 2 cases, Bungoma, Kisii, Makueni and Nandi with 1 case each. 143 patients have recovered from COVID-19, 22 of whom were discharged from various health facilities, while 121 are from home-based isolation and care, taking the total recoveries to 86,860. The ministry further reported that currently there are 378 patients who are currently admitted in various health facilities countrywide, while 1,494 patients are in home-based isolation and care. 58 patients are reported to be in intensive care units, 23 of whom are in ventilatory support and 29 on supplemental oxygen. 6 patients are on observation. Another 14 patients are separately on supplementary oxygen, all of whom are in general wards. No patient is in the high dependency unit. The country's fatalities has risen to 1,863 after 4 more people succumbed to the illness. The cumulative tests in the country now stand at 1,306,601. For Ebru TV, my name is Lucy Riley.
And of course, just something else that is somewhat related to COVID-19, not vaccine, but a scandal, and that is the Parliamentary Committee on Public Investment, that is SPIKE, has this morning been treated to another circus following revelations of how prayers assisted a lady to walk away with a cool, get this, 42 million Kenya Medical Supplies Authority scandal tender. Now, Eunice Ketanyi told members of Parliament how she just walked at KEMSA and secured a tender, and without financial capacity, she delegated another company to supply COVID-19 commodities, where she later pocketed 12 million shillings as profit, as our reporter Kenneth Kazungu reports.
How did it click your mind that regardless of your background, that you have just decided to walk to a government entity when you had not done any form of medical supplies in the past, and yet just walk out with 42 million shillings?
God answers prayers. That is according to Eunice Ketanyi Cherono, who told Parliament that prayers enabled her to get a tender worth 42 million shillings from KEMSA. Cherono told the parliamentary committee led by Mvita MP Abdul Somad Sharif Nasir that after her prayers were answered, she subcontracted Mason Austin Limited and Leon Deco and Design to supply face masks worth 42 million. In the end, she pocketed 12 million shillings as profit.
I can tell you for sure, I went there and I didn't know anyone. I just went there. And before this, the situation I was so bad that I really relied on prayer. I prayed about it, and I can tell you without fear that actually it is God who directed me there. I prayed for it, and I can tell you my prayers were answered.
The MPs, who could not hide their distaste in the manner she received the tender, claimed that Ketanyi may have been used by prominent people to push for the tender, although she insisted that It is prayers that helped her win the tender.
You just walked into KEMSA and came out with a tender worth 42 million. Is that right?
Later, after a process.
Is your company among the pre-qualified companies to supply KEMSA?
Now, yes. Now it is one of them.
No, before?
Before, no.
No, actually, no. Kindly, if there's something you're not aware of, it's better because I can confirm to you you're not a pre-qualified supplier.
Keitany, who claims that she is ardent in prayers, is now praying that she may get a tender to supply the COVID-19 vaccine.
That's basically what we do, but we normally take advantage of any loopholes that are found in case of being a business person. You take any advantage that come across.
The MPs also sought to know how Elizabeth Serret from Duke Agencies received a tender worth 180 million shillings from KEMSA. Elizabeth explained to the MPs that her company received the tender with MPs differing on the same. The Parliament's Public Investment Committee is seeking to unravel how billions of shillings were distributed in the supply of COVID-19 materials. The former head of the National Anti-Graft Body, Halake Wako, is expected before the committee to clear his name, which was mentioned by one of the suppliers.
All right, should we be changing the way we pray? Well, you tell me. Okay. And elsewhere, a section of Kawangware residents here in Nairobi County will be forced to spend the night in the cold following a fire that broke out in a two-story building in the area. The second floor of the apartment was burnt to ashes, leaving more than 30 people homeless. Our reporter Abdiaziz Hashim with more.
The afternoon incident saw the residents of Kawangware worried due to the threat it posed to the nearby houses. The fire outbreak shocked many, and they maintain the cause of the fire is...
Kuangalia nikapata hapa moshi natoka kidogo. Sikuelewa nini inaendelea. Nikakuja mbio. Kukuja mbio mkasa ilikuwa imeanza tu moshi kidogo. Nikasikia sijui ni watu walikuwa wanafanya welding. Vile nilikuwa nimesikia walikuwa wanafanya welding. Hiyo welding kidogo nilifanyika hapo akaanza moto ikaanza kushika. Nilipokimbia pale nikaambia mama tusaidie basi maji kama bado hiyo moto ijakuwa nini? Ijakuwa mingi. Tukivunja mabati. Lakini walizobaa hawakutupatia maji wakati kwa nafaa. So kwa hivyo wakati moto ulikuwa umeshia kabisa ndio niletea maji na ikakuwa ni too late kusaidia. Lakini tukajaribu upande kule nyuma tukazima kabisa isishike nyumba zilingi kwa sababu ni zambao ni ghetto. Kama ingeshika ingekuwa na hatari kubwa zaidi.
The second floor of the apartment located in Coast was burnt to ashes while those on the ground floor luckily did not catch fire.
Hii mali tuseme imechomeka hata kama ni 3/4. Iko kwota yenye imebaki inafaa ifikie mwenyewe. Sasa itamfikia juu vijana wanapora. Tunaomba serikali iwe inashughulika hiyo maneno sana. Mahali kuko na watu wengi kama hapa. Serikali inakuja inateki ulinzi. Sababu kazi ya serikali ni kulinda wananchi. Ukiangalia hapa wananchi ni wengi sana. Mtu akitoka hapa hata kama ni mtu baya achukue panga ama achukue vitu baya pale tutajua aje. Tutaanza kukatakatana hapa. Serikali inafaa ikuwa hapa ikituangalia na kufurusha wale wako na nia ya kupola vitu.
The residents in the area maintain that firefighters took long to arrive, and when they did it took them a while to contain the inferno.
Kuna kiongozi naambia Simbarati tafadhali awache shaza za mapema atushughulikie apushi hizi agenda leteo fire station hapa at least mikasa kama hizi kitokea tunasaidika. Unapata kawase kama gero tumewachiliwa maji tunaumia huku tunachukua mandoo na hiyo maji tuzime moto lakini hatuwezi na tuko na kiongozi ambaye Simbara tunasema kwa heshima na taadhima awache siasa mingi akuja asaidie watu wake apush leteo fire station hapa Kawangware atakuwa msaidizi zaidi kuliko kufanyaje siasa nini gito zote tusaidiwe.
The locals are now calling upon the area leaders to lobby for a fire station in the area because they say this is not the first incident, nor will it be the last. Abdiaziz Hashim, Ebru TV.
Sad state over there. And elsewhere, former Nairobi Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko has been ordered to appear in court on Thursday for the mention of the case where he is charged with fraud. The court reissued its production orders from Monday after he failed to appear in court on Tuesday morning. The court was told that there is an order barring the police from interrogating and even taking Sonko from the hospital. According to Deputy OCS Ezekiel Lulei, the order was issued by the Anti-Terrorism Police Unit Court in committee. In the ruling, the trial magistrate noted that the order has not mentioned that he is unable to appear in court or he is unfit to stand trial. On Tuesday, the defense team, led by lawyer John Haminwa, asked the court not to interfere with hospital procedure. President Uhuru Kenyatta has mourned Juja Member of Parliament Francis Munywa Waititu, popularly known as Wakape, as a patriotic leader who demonstrated all attributes of true servant leadership. The head of state mourned the second-term Juja Member of Parliament during his burial in Juja, Kiambu County. Wakape succumbed to brain cancer last week, a year after he arrived in the country from India, where he was receiving treatment.
Second-term ruling Juja Member of Parliament Francis Waititu has finally been given his final journey in a burial attended by leaders from different political divide, including the head of state. President Kenyatta mourning the deceased as one patriotic leader who served at the interest of the area residents.
Vile sisi zote tumesikia hapa, mwenzetu hakuwa mdhaifu. Alikuwa mtendakazi, alikuwa mpenda wananchi, alikuwa mpenda amani, alikuwa mtu ambaye roho yake ilikuwa roho safi na roho ya ukarimu.
Speaking during MP's Waititu burial service at Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology grounds in Juja, Kiambu County, President Kenyatta challenged other leaders to emulate the late Waititu by focusing on what is right for Kenyans.
Sio rahisi sana kwa kiongozi kuchaguliwa, hata hawa viongozi hapa wanajua. Haswa hii Kiambu hii yetu. Mtu anapiga term moja, anaambiwa about turn, anaenda. Kuona kiongozi amechaguliwa mara mbili ni kumaanisha ya kwamba wananchi walikuwa wanajua na wameona kazi yake.
Many of us have known Wakape vile amefanya kazi as a manager. I think he transferred his expertise and knowledge in management to the running of the affairs of his constituency CDF.
The last 3 years have been a true roller coaster of emotions. It has been so hard watching him fight a battle that I knew would always overcome him. The tumor continued to disable his body and cruelly played with his mind, but he kept adjusting to his new normal and fought bravely right up to the end.
The Juja lawmaker Francis Waititu breathed his last on Monday, the 22nd of February this year at around 7:30 p.m. while receiving treatment at the MP Shah Hospital in Nairobi County. Wakape, as he was popularly known, had been battling brain cancer since 2017 before flying to India for specialized treatment and returning home in March 2018. He will, however, be remembered on his efforts on cancer awareness.
Mheshimiwa Waititu amekuwa akispearhead ya kwamba tutengeneze hospitali ambayo inatibu kansa. Na hiyo ndio ilikuwa mapenzi yake kwa watu wa Juja na watu wa Kiambu na watu wa Kenya kwa general.
The Member of Parliament is said to have lost his sister Cecilia Bomboy at the age of 60 to liver cancer in 2016, which prompted him to get his mother screened for the disease, and to their family's surprise, she was diagnosed with stage 2 brain cancer. Wakape would later take up the challenge to also get screened despite being in good health and had not shown any signs of illness. To his surprise, he was also diagnosed with stage 2 brain cancer and positively resolved to fight the disease in September 2017. Wakape has left behind a widow and 4 children. Milia Kisenya for Ebru TV.
Well, our hearts and prayers to the family, and may his soul rest in eternal peace. Now, a group of young people are calling on the National Assembly to pass the BBI bill without delay when it comes before Parliament on Thursday. The youth are also calling out Deputy President Dr. William Ruto for what they say is divisive politics.
We send a strong signal to members of parliament that we want the bill to progress without unnecessary delay. We will lobby our friends in both houses, especially young parliamentarians, to stand on the precedent already established by county assemblies, and that they have to take cue of what the young MCAs have been able to do by overwhelmingly supporting this bill. The members of parliament are hereby promised, and we are committed as the young people of this country, that we are going to give them unwavering support towards the passage of this bill at both houses.
President Uhuru hakuchagua azaliwe na baba president, ama yule maskini anasemanga sijui alikuwa anauza kuku, hakuchagua. Sisi tumezaliwa na baba zetu na mama zetu, hatujui mahali walipatana. So msikuje kutuunganisha kwa mambo ya watajiri na maskini. Sisi tunataka Kenya moja, na Kenya ambayo ni ya watu wote.
Na uwezi sema ati wewe hautapinga na pia uunge mkono. Na vitendo vyako kwa vyovyote vile inatuonyesha kwamba wewe unapinga. Kwa hivyo tunamuomba ajitokeze rasmi, apinge, tupatane kwa uwanja. Hilo ndilo jambo ambalo tunasema. Hakuna mtu mmoja ameweza kumlazimisha naibu wa rais Daktari William Ruto kupinga. Lakini vitendo vyake, akienda katika baraza la siasa anasema nyinyi watu raundi hii mtajua mjui. Hii inamaanisha nini? Akienda akasema hii serikali inayokuja itaundwa na nyinyi. Akienda anasema wale watu wanatuchelewesha na hiyo BBI na haina haja, sio priority sasa hivi. Inamaanisha anapinga. Na ndio maana sisi kama vijana tukajitokeza, tukasema kama wewe William Ruto uko na nguvu za kupingana na wale ambao wanaunga mkono BBI, basi kesho jitokeze, njoo uwanjani, tupimane nguvu kama Wakenya na wewe, kwa sababu Wakenya washasema kwamba wanataka marekebisho ya katiba ambayo italeta pesa mashinani.
And away from that, following the frequent boundary conflicts, especially the North Rift region, West Pokot professionals have called upon the government through the Building Bridges initiative to map out boundaries on disputed regions in a bid to bring peace and development in the region. Take a look.
Due to the ongoing BBI amendment bill and the upcoming referendum, West Pokot professionals want the relevant institutions and authorities to ensure that the North Rift region gets its boundaries mapped out to eradicate the frequent boundary conflicts that have left the region lagging behind in terms of development.
Na inashika sana kasi. Naona kwa upande wa MCAs kuna watu wamejaribu pitisha. Na nilikuwa naomba serikali kama iko mipango ya PPI, kitu naomba hii PPI ipate kukusa mambo ya boundaries, especially between community boundaries. Tunasikianga hii mambo ya Kapedo, watu wanangangana Kapedo, siju Pokot, nangangana Turkana, nangangana, ni sababu ya boundary.
Led by Wilson Koringura, the professional said that it is a nightmare for development to be realized in the borders because there is no clear boundary.
Hii mambo ya boundaries, security, inaitwa boundary securities, imemakiwa vizuri na serikali, na inaomba kwamba musukue waoka kuonyesha communities boundaries sao. Muwe wachasiri, sababu mnajua hiyo kitu ndio kila mwaka watu wanakombania. Ukienda ndani ya row ya Pokot, row ya Turkana, hapo naye ndio watu wanakombania.
They now want the Independent Electoral and Boundary Commission IEBC to use the BBI opportunity to create clear boundaries.
Ingekuwa vizuri sana waangalia hapo. Pokot, boundary yako ni hapa. Turkana, boundary yako ni hapa. Weka sasa nini? Weka signpost. Nikiingia Turkana, karibu Turkana. Nikiingia West Pokot, karibu West Pokot. Ndio tutaweza kusuluhisha mambo ya peace. Na peace ikikuja hii area ni vizuri sana. Hata serikali, sababu ni nchi ambaye kwa maendeleo imebaki nyuma sana.
Koringura said for a long time it has been difficult to initiate and implement projects along such borders, thus leaving behind citizens from getting their rights due to conflicts.
Ni vizuri tena waweke peace projects kama mashule, inaleta amani, sababu inaunganisha hii makabila zote za kukombana mambo ya pampashias, mambo ya maboundary, mambo ya mamaji. Waweke mashule, waweke maji, mabawa za maji, waweke hata irrigation.
He, however, appealed for concerted efforts to bring development projects like schools, hospitals, and irrigation schemes along the borders to bring the warring communities together. Busana Naman for Ebru TV.
All right, and 29 minutes past the hour, we take a fast commercial break. But of course, when we come back, we'll be trying to get a hold of our reporter, Jeff Khaemba, who is currently at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, to just give us an update on what's happening there at the moment. And this is as far as preparations to receive the much-awaited COVID-19 vaccine in Kenya. You do not want to miss that part. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, that is IEBC, has said the electoral body is prepared to conduct the March 18th senatorial by-elections and has concluded all the requisite logistics for the smooth running of the by-election. IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati added that as a commission, they have met all the candidates and reminded them that the commission will work in conjunction with other agencies, including the Directorate of Public Prosecution, to enforce all electoral regulations.
Days after Machaka's senatorial candidate Mutua Katuku told Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka to respect the independence of the electoral agency ahead of the March 18th senatorial by-elections turned into a spat between the two, where Kalonzo clapped back and claimed that Maendeleo Chapchap was working closely with IEBC to rig the poll.
Kulingana na the team which is here on the ground, the clerks were recruited competitively. They are the sons and daughters from this region, and their names will be shared with the registered political parties, who will share with all the parties and candidates who are participating, so that if there's anybody, any candidate or party feels should not be on that list, they'll bring up the issue or raise a complaint to the commission, and the commission will act accordingly.
The IEBC chairman, Wafula Chebukati, speaking today, said that the body had met all the candidates and discussed a number of issues relating to the conduct and agents on the polling day. He also confirmed that they had consulted with the ground security team led by the county commissioner and the county police commander.
We also met the county security team led by the county commissioner and the county commander, police commander who is here, and they have assured us that their teams are ready to provide security on the polling day. So I think everything is ready so far.
Chebukati allayed fears raised earlier by some political parties participating in the election who had opposed recruitment of civil servants and teachers as polling clerks in the mini poll. He confirmed the budget for all logistics had been approved and provided by the Machakos office.
Budget has already been provided, logistics have been provided, and I think the county, the returning officer is here, Joyce. Joyce will assure you that they are ready, and that's why we came here to see the level of preparedness, and we are happy that everything is on course.
He said the commission will be ready to handle any complaints arising from any candidate or political party. Machaka's Senate seat fell vacant last year following the death of Boniface Kabaka, and all is set on the 18th of March 2021. For Ebru TV, my name is Lucy Riley.
And crossing over to Nyeri, where a prominent businessman from Nyeri County who allegedly plotted and killed his son over a domestic quarrel has been charged with murder alongside 4 others at the High Court in Nyeri. The 5 are accused of murdering 32-year-old Daniel Mwangi Wangondu on the night of December 31st, 2020 in Muyogo village in Nyeri County. The suspects will be brought back in court on March 9th for bail application hearing, where the prosecution is also expected to furnish the court with reasons for opposing their release on bond.
There have been increasing cases of cold-blooded murders and deaths, with the latest case of one Daniel Mwangi, 32, who was allegedly slain by his father and renowned businessman Stephen Kinini on New Year's Eve. According to police reports, the deceased was murdered after celebrating the New Year's Eve with friends at a local pub in Mwega town, with his father being the prime suspect. The businessman is said to have consulted his driver and personal assistant on a plan to execute his son and thereafter paid the 4 hitmen 160,000 Kenyan shillings. Stephen is said to have hired assassins to kill his son after they differed over his son's divorced wife, whom he had brought back home and even established a business for her. It is also alleged that the businessman was in love with his son's estranged wife. The suspects were arrested on February the 20th, 2 of them in Githurai and Pipeline Estates in Nairobi, while the rest were arrested in Muiga and Embu Town. The court further ordered the 5 to be remanded in separate prisons following an application by the prosecution led by State Counsel Duncan Ondemu to give them time to file additional affidavits. The prosecution further opposed their release on bond, arguing that the security of the accused was at stake, given the gravity of the matter. For Ebru TV, my name is Lucy Riley.
All right, and of course, some of these cases, it's interesting to see how families are turning against each other, especially during this time of COVID-19 pandemic. And we hope that we all can practice a bit of empathy and treat each other with compassion. Away from that, National Council Churches of Kenya, that is NCCK in Nyanza region, says it will ban politicians from campaigning in churches. Speaking in Kisumu, led by Reverend David Kodia, the church leaders speaking to journalists in Kisumu stated that the church should be respected and valued as a holy place. Hence, politicians should keep off their political differences.
Led by Reverend David Kodia, the church leader speaking to journalists in Kisumu stated that church should be respected and valued as a holy place. Hence, politicians should keep off their political differences.
Churches are places where people go to seek the face of God, not the face of human beings. So this has caused a lot of worry in most of our churches. This regional committee strongly condemns this trend and urges our member churches not to allow politicians or their agents to take advantages of the situation to campaign in our churches.
At the same time, they welcome the corona vaccine, which is expected to be in the country today, but called the government to be fair and transparent enough while distributing across the country.
I welcome the news that a vaccine will be made available in Kenya in due course. But we want to urge for justice and equity in its distribution across the country.
On matters of BBI and referendum, the men of God challenged the government to increase the number of IBC commissioners to enable them conduct a fair referendum, adding that Kenyans have to read the bill and make their own decisions.
Therefore, call upon the government and all concerned stakeholders to speedily implement the required electoral reforms for free, fair, and peaceful elections. For example, the Electoral Commission of Kenya, IBC, still has 3 slots to be filled. Up to now, those ones have not been addressed.
Daniel Dembede, Ebru TV, Kisumu County.
Across the borders now, after Fit and Start, the largest vaccination effort on the African continent has finally begun in South Africa. VOA's Anita Powell walks us down the long, winding road that is bringing hope to millions.
It took a year, but now a future looks possible. South Africa only started rolling out the coronavirus vaccine in the last 2 weeks, but President Cyril Ramaphosa says they've taken off running, with more than 67,000 health workers inoculated in the first 10 days as part of the first stage.
The start of our vaccination campaign has so far gone extremely well. It has shown that we can achieve much when we work together as a government, the scientific community, the private sector, and community-based organizations.
The second phase will start as soon as late April and will include the elderly, essential workers, and those who work or live in institutions, and those with other health risks. In all, South Africa hopes to vaccinate 40 million of its nearly 59 million people. Dr. Richard Lessels, one of South Africa's top viral researchers, says he thinks authorities made the right move in stopping use of the AstraZeneca vaccine because it was not found to be entirely effective against the highly contagious variant that has driven most of South Africa's new infections. In all, the nation has seen more than 1.5 million confirmed cases. And he says South African regulators are looking at other vaccines, including those made in Russia and China.
Clearly, there was a lot of concern about us being late to the party and late getting started. The reality, however, is that whether we'd got started earlier or not, the vaccination wouldn't have impacted on that second wave that we saw, that really dreadful second wave, because that was already in motion in December. What's critical now is to get vaccine into as many people as possible before any resurgence and any possible third wave.
He also said researchers are working to develop a vaccine against the highly contagious new variant. In Johannesburg, the nation's economic hub, residents had mixed feelings about the vaccination campaign.
This vaccine is going to help us for this virus of coronavirus and what. It's going to help us, this vaccine. Because many people here in South Africa died because of this virus.
I don't think I'll be taking the vaccine anytime soon. Regarding why I say so, it's because of the fact that it hasn't been proven anywhere else in the world. If we had to be the first people in South Africa to be taking this vaccine, what does this mean to us as South Africans in general? Why can't we also be like the other world, wait for the original vaccine that should be given to us as people in this world so that we can also be safe from this coronavirus?
The Rainbow Nation has a long road ahead, but, says Ramaphosa, this is a country that has known hardship.
So much has changed in our country and in our lives. But the spirit of our people has not changed. You have endured the greatest hardships, but you have remained resolute, united, and hopeful. Now, a year after the virus first reached our shores, we have a much clearer path towards containing infections and ultimately overcoming the disease.
Shot by shot, he says, they'll get it done. Anita Powell, VOA News, Johannesburg.
And of course, coming back to the country as we await the march, with bated breath, rather, as far as then the COVID-19 vaccine is concerned in the country. Well, a few people, and especially from what we've seen in South Africa, there's some people who are saying, I am not too sure if I want to receive the vaccine. But of course, in the country, there has been plans to ensure that there's some people who have been given priority, and healthcare workers being one of them. And of course, right now, we are joined by SEMA Member of Parliament, Dr. James Nyikal, who is the member for National Assembly Health Committee via Zoom. Dr. Nyikal, thank you very much for making time for us this night. And of course, as far as COVID-19 vaccine is concerned, first of all, what should Kenyans expect? Because we've had a number of people saying, we are not too sure we want to receive the vaccine yet.
Well, we have a pandemic going. People have been dying. The vaccine has been tried in other countries. They have been tested. Some stringent authorities, we call them stringent authorities, like the Food and Drug Administration of the US, the stringent authority of the UK, and I presume our Pharmacy and Poisons Board has also looked at it. And it has been tested in other areas. There were trials, and it has been found to be effective. What we have here is about 60 to 80% effective. So I think it is something that we need to take and accept. Obviously, when something is new, people are always apprehensive and hesitant. But that can be sorted out by sensitization to let the people know what it is, tell the people what side effects or reactions they expect, and if they occur, how they will be managed. Have extensive preparation in the health system on how it will be rolled out. So those are things you need to know. Just that the vaccine is at the airport at midnight, well, that says nothing. We have to know what preparations are on the way. I know that we have a cold chain system which can take care of it, because the vaccine we have chosen is kept at the same temperature as the temperature we use for our other vaccines that are used to vaccinate children. So in that context, that infrastructure should be helpful. So my view is that we should expect government sensitization. Ministry of Health should go out and sensitize the people, train health workers, tell people what reactions, if any, and if they occur, how are they handled.
Okay. And of course, we all know that the healthcare workers have been given the first priority to receiving the vaccine. And the other question would be, fine, the teachers also are in the line to receiving the vaccine. Of course, the big question is then, what about the learners? Will they also be in the front line in receiving the vaccine?
I think if you were to look at who should be in the front line, I don't have the guidelines that the ministers put in place. But what I would expect from my point of view as a medical person and a public health person is that, one, the health workers will be the first priority, the frontline workers, whether they are nurses, doctors, pharmacists, people who are working in hospital, whether they are cleaners, people who are getting in contact with patients, they should be getting first priority. Then people who work in overcrowded circumstances. For example, teachers have a lot of children around them, and the children do spread the disease. They are actually sometimes called super spreaders. So the teachers are then exposed. The security forces like the police, who interact with people a lot, the prison warders that interact with people a lot, the soldiers, I don't know the circumstances they live in the barracks, that should also be looked at. I think I've said the prison wardens and the prisoners. So those should be. Children in schools, probably not, if you keep the social distancing and the mask and the hand washing, because the major impact we expect with the vaccine is to reduce the severity of the illness. People may still get it, but they should be less ill. So I think if you take the children also, what will be needed will be so massive. But the experience has shown that the teachers are more likely to be affected than the children.
Okay. So then, are there people who are exempted from receiving the vaccine as of now? For instance, like people with pre-existing, conditions. Are there some who are exempted from the same?
I missed that out. The other people that really should get the vaccine are people with pre-existing conditions, people with diabetes, people with hypertension, people with cancer, people with HIV/AIDS, I presume. Those should get. The people now, we can say exempted. We were talking about the children, but this vaccine is also approved for children. This has not been approved for children under 18. Now, that does not mean it will not work or it is harmful. And I think the data that is available as of now does not give us clear evidence that it's safe in children in that age.
Okay.
So when you are not sure, you better be safe.
Okay. And of course, sitting, at the National Assembly Health Committee, very briefly, as we finish, are there, let's say, measures that have been put in place to ensure that then we do not see another scandal as far as then the vaccine is concerned? We have those measures to ensure that then there's equity, as far as the share of the vaccine across all the 47 counties, and that the vaccine reach the people that, they are intended to?
Well, I don't know. Measures are always in place. It's just that people actually go against those measures. But definitely as a health committee, we will be more keen in oversighting the ministry. For example, we will want to know how much of the vaccines have come, where are they stored, the distribution system, where have they been distributed to, have they reached those places? Those are things that we are actually duty bound to do, so that what we have told has arrived, what we have told has been distributed, and what we are told is there, is there. I think we will, that is something we have to undertake. The other thing as a health committee that we need to look into, and we have actually started looking into, is that we are buying them. Even if this first batch has come, courtesy of donors, but we must look into the future that we will buy them. Remember, this is actually 2 doses, so you are getting the first dose. In I think another 3 weeks or so, you'll get another dose, and with time, that donor offer may go. So we have, in the budget policy statement we have just done, we have taken consideration that there will be need for money to buy vaccines, so that is put in the COVID program.
Okay. And of course, we sure will hold you accountable, Dr. Nyikal, as far as ensuring that then we do not have another scandal and the vaccine actually reach the people that it is intended to reach to. So Dr. James Nyikal, member of the National Assembly Health Committee, thank you very much for speaking to us tonight. We know you've had a very busy day, but we appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you very much.
All right. And of course, moving on to the sports arena, and national rugby teams Shuja and Lionesses are back in the country from the Madrid Sevens double tournaments played over the last 2 weeks, with rallying call for multi-agency support towards the Tokyo Olympics. Both Lionesses captain Philadelphia Orlando and Shuja captain Nelson Oyo lauded the government for their support during the both legs of inter-regional series, underlining the importance of the tournament.
Jugador también de 22 años, que no juega a Kenia, que todavía nos puede regalar muchos minutos de buen juego. El balón es de Oluoch, que tira el pase por afuera para que la juegue Oje. Jacob Oje jugando para Oluoch de nuevo.
And elsewhere, the second and third legs of the Athletics Kenya track and field meetings have all been moved to the Nyayo National Stadium, Nairobi. The second leg was to be staged on March 12th to 13th at the Kinoru Stadium, Embu, with the third leg heading to Mumias Complex on April 2nd and 3rd. Athletics Kenya Director in charge of competitions, Paul Mutui, disclosed that the dates for the 2 events shall still remain the same.
Bomboy, national cross country champion. Rogers Bomboy. Salala. Wah. Imekuwa ngumu sana bwana. Ambao ni cartoon.
And the African Football Governing Body, CAF, has written to Gor Mahia seeking explanation from the club on the alleged violent incidents during the CAF Confederations Cup playoffs match against the Napsa Stars in Zambia. CAF, in its letter to Gor dated 28th February, said the match officials have raised complaints of violence and abusive language against them by Gor captain Kenneth Muguna and showstopper Boniface Oluoch. And 6 past winners will take part in this year's Magical Kenya Open, to be held at the Current Country Club from March 18th. According to the entry list released, 156 players, among them 12 Kenyans, will grace the prestigious event, which is being held for the 2nd time as part of the European Tour Series, popularly known as the Race to Dubai. The 2007 winner, Italian Edoardo Molinari, is back in the hunt for the top prize. that is where we say goodbye right here on Ebru TV Primetime News. Apologies, we could not get a hold of our reporter Jeff Kayemba, who's currently at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, to give us an update on what's happening right now as we prepare to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. But be sure to tune in tomorrow morning, that is on New Day. And of course, we'll be having all the updates as and when the vaccines come or get into the country. But for now, we have to say goodbye. My name is Winnie Lubembe. Our sign anchor tonight has been Joyce Weribu. A big thank you to all the amazing people who made the bulletin a success. We wish you a good night. God bless, and I'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. for My Doctor. But until then, stay safe.